In the late 90s, we had a day where we canceled because of the ice over the weekend. So it was about somewhere like January. Shut Ames down.
There was one time when I was a kid that I was in elementary school, probably like 5th or 6th grade or something like that. And I walked to school to find out that school had been canceled, and then I had to walk back home. So that, my parents just sent me out into the woods or out into the cold and said, deal with it.
I went to a one-room country school, and that was the way we walked across fields. If we got up early, the school teacher would pick us up on the way to school.
No, there's an incentive.
Somebody else from a one-room school environment.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if, with all the school consolidation that they've done, over the last 15, 20 years, I suspect none of those types of schools exist anymore. Certainly not in Iowa.
With the Amish.
Oh, yeah.
I closed the one in 8th grade. They closed the school then.
Oh, where was this at?
South of Iowa City.
Okay.
I graduated from Elbert in 57 and 60. In 59 or 60, they closed the whole school, and they went to State Center. I mean, it's interesting. Schools that were bitter rivals, when they had these consolidations, bitter rivals ended up being with each other.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Indiana started consolidation about 70, 80 years ago. They needed bigger schools to win basketball championships, is the way I heard it. Because they didn't have classifications back in those days.
oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, everybody played in the same way.
Yeah, Dave Sanders, you're the only one I remember from back in the early 60s.
Well, me. You might remember my dad.
Oh, it was your dad that was there?
Yeah.
That's you, huh?
Not me. I was
Okay.
around in the early 60s. I don't think you would have remembered me at that point in time.
Okay. There was a Sanders there that I knew
Yeah.
pretty well. That was your father, huh?
That was my dad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's still doing well.
Well, good. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wasn't structures, but I knew several structures people, so I thought I'd get on to see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have taught design, bridge design.
Well, I got my master's in highway materials in '65
Okay.
under Jack Mickle, who unfortunately died a couple of years ago. We had kept in touch over the years, and I was shocked when I got the Christmas card from his wife that said he had passed.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a few years ago, hasn't it?
Pardon? Yeah, he studied under Spangler. In fact, I think I had a course from Spangler near the end of his years.
Right.
Yeah, I had a class from Spangler. He taught one class a year. He'd always teach winter quarter. And then my mom sent me a newspaper article about it. He was still climbing through failed conduits and pipes in his 80s.
No. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We've got a little bit of a program here tonight that we'd like to go through, and Alicia Carroll is the one that's been sending out emails to you, and also is going to be coordinating tonight. We hope we have a good mix of things for you tonight. I'm going to say a few things about the department, and then Simon LaFlamme is our focus area coordinator. He's going to have a brief introduction, and we're going to give you a chance to meet some of our faculty that we have currently in the department. We've also got some student groups that we'd like for you to hear from. We've got some breakout groups, one in the middle that we're going to have you maybe break you up into smaller groups so you actually have a chance to talk to each other. And then we'll have a breakout group at the very end where you can just get on and chat and again, share some stories about what it was like back here in Ames when you were here. Again, my name is David Sanders. I have the distinct pleasure of being the department chair for civil construction and environmental engineering. I did graduate from the program in 1984, then wandered in the wilderness for almost 35 years before I came back. And so my wife and I came back in 2 years ago in 2018. So Alicia, why don't you put up some slides and we'll get at it. I want to comment that this is a big year for us. We're celebrating the 150th anniversary of our department. So you'll continue to hear more and more about this as the year goes on, but we're going to be having a big event in the September 18th of 2021. And we've rented out the Sioux Cup End Zone. So we hope that you can come back for that. It'll be a 3-day event, so you can come for 3 days, 2 days, or just come on the day of the event. And so we're excited about that. We also want to just comment that we just celebrated the 60th anniversary of our construction engineering program in 2020, and also the birth of our environmental engineering program. We started an environmental engineering program in the fall of 2020, and we're going to have our first graduate from that program, we think, in the spring of 2022. So we're excited about those things. As we looked at what we've been doing back in the fall, we had a Connie golf tournament. We also had a virtual Connie reunion. A lot of the things that we had planned to do over the course of the year, obviously, had to be altered because of COVID-19. And so some events that we were planning on doing face-to-face have gone virtual, such as the Connie reunion. And what we decided to do was just give you an opportunity to meet some of our faculty. So we're having these focus area virtual events. And as you know, tonight we're focusing on structures. And so we've already had virtual events that focused on transportation and environmental and water resources. We have tonight with structures, and then in the future, we'll have geotechnical and materials, and then also construction. The golf tournament that we had in the fall was such a huge success that there were people that saying we need to do this more often. And so we're going to have another department golf tournament in May 17th of 2021. And we may also have another golf tournament that's part of our 150th anniversary celebration that I mentioned was on September 16th to 18th. And again, lots more details will be coming out with those events, and you can find out, we'll continue to post an update on our website. So you can just type into Google CCEE Iowa State 150, or this is the link that you can use to get there. Just a few things about our numbers. We currently have 31 tenure track members, and we have what now are called term faculty. For many of you, these would be the lecturers. So they used to have lecture and senior lecture. Now we have assistant teaching professors, associate teaching professors, and full teaching professors. In addition to that, we have a category called professor of practice, and we also have research professors. So you end up with this wonderful number of 12.8 because we have several partial appointments throughout the department that help deliver our mission of our Department of Teaching, Research, and Service. I'm proud to say that these are our 1920 numbers, but we had $22 million of external research in the department. We led the college in terms of research dollars. And the numbers that are coming out this year show again that we'll also lead the college in expenditures of research dollars. We can continue to have strong enrollment. We have 863 undergraduates, about 33 master's degrees, and 98 doctoral students. Those numbers have gone down for this coming year due to a lot of response due to COVID, but we're excited about the years to come. So we've, in terms of our program, in terms of where we rank, we're 27th overall and tied for 18th in terms of public institutions. We had good movement over the last couple of years, so we're excited about that. When you look at our undergraduate program, it's tied for 34th, 22nd among public institutions. And again, we're feeling like we're doing things that will continue to enhance that number. We truly have outstanding faculty great staff and our students. One of the things that I'm particularly proud of is our placement at graduation. This is 96% of our construction engineering students are placed at graduation. So this is not 6 months later. 6 months later, most of them, or virtually all of them, have jobs, but this is just the case at graduation. We've been working on a lot of initiatives throughout our years here. We're looking at a curricular review. We're focusing on the freshman year in particular, trying to get students geared up for what it takes to be not only successful in their time at Iowa State, but also moving into their professional careers. We're looking at our design courses and making sure that they're giving students the practical experiences that they need, again, as they go out into the workplace. And we're also expanding our undergraduate research opportunities. We're starting a pilot program for the college, which has money from the college and also money from the department and faculty in order to support undergraduate research opportunities for our students. We have a peer teaching observation initiative where we have colleagues come together in order to observe each other in class just for the strict purpose of helping each other be better teachers. We're working to expand our MS and MEng programs, specifically online. And I'd like to say that we started this initiative before COVID happened, but in terms of COVID has helped to accelerate the number of classes that we can offer online. We feel like a lot of our students graduate quickly. We have a very successful internship program. Again, more than 90% of our students have internships before they graduate, and they're getting plugged into companies very quickly. And yet they still want to continue to have a master's of engineering or an advanced degree, and this gives them an opportunity to do that. We're working on enhancing our research infrastructure and our facilities. We're in the process of doing a master plan for town engineering. Town engineering is also celebrating an anniversary this year. It'll be 50 years old in 2021. So for those of you that have been around a while, it came online in 1971. Before that, people had to survive the engineering annex, and there's lots of stories about how warm and how cold it would get in the engineering annex. As I mentioned earlier, we're excited to mention our environmental engineering degree that began in the fall of 2020. We already have 50 students that are enrolled in this program, and we're excited about that continuing to grow. We're hiring a new faculty member in environmental engineering and also a new faculty member in water resources this year. As I mentioned to you, we're starting our space study and we're looking at two initiatives. One is dealing with town engineering itself. We're looking at to improve and expand facilities to support our teaching and research goals. If you came back into town engineering today, it's pretty much the same as what it was 50 years ago. We've worked to do the best that we can with technologies. We've applied some graphics and paint on the building in order to make it a more inviting place, but we feel that there's a lot more that we can do in terms of modernizing our teaching spaces and also our research spaces. And when I say modernizing our teaching spacing, it's really looking at ways that we can very much problem-based learning and how we can do that better, and also increasing collaboration spaces. We all know about the lobby that we have in town engineering, and most of the other collaboration spaces that we have are in classrooms that we've tried to convert. So we're looking at ways that we can enhance that, along with spaces for graduate students. The second facility that we're looking at is what we're calling our intelligent infrastructure facility. This would be an off-campus, off-main campus facility that would really focus on research, even though it would have a teaching and outreach component. This enables us to expand our research in the areas of field testing. We do a lot of field testing, but this would allow us to do a lot of real or full-scale types of testing in an environment where we can bring the proper types of instrumentation and observations to bear. So if we just look at our existing town engineering, it's about 61,000 net square feet. There are other components that are in the building now. And we're looking based on a couple of studies that we've done that we could use almost 100,000 100,000 net square feet of space. And so again, we're looking at opportunities for doing that here in the coming years. This just happens to be a Revit model of town engineering, so I suspect that it looks familiar to you in terms of what you've seen. And we're also doing a lot of other things in terms of doing lots of planning for things that we can do in the building. Next slide, please. So our plan for the evening is to get a focused overview from Simon Laflamme. We're going to do some faculty introductions and some student organizations. We'd like to have you hear from our Earthquake Engineering Research Institute group, the Steel Bridge and Concrete Canoe. And as we mentioned, we have a couple of breakout sessions. And probably the most important part of the evening is we'll have some trivia along the way that Alicia will quiz you on to see if you can successfully answer the trivia. Now, there's a show out there where the points don't matter. And so we don't have a big prize for you other than the pride that you were able to answer all the questions properly. All right, so we got our first question.
We start right into the trivia. All right, so I'm going to let you guys take in the slide, take in the information, and I'll pull up a poll so you can do some voting to see what you think the answer is. So we want to know which Iowa State alumna helped pave the way for women in engineering. She earned the nickname, the First Lady of Structural Engineering, and she was the first American woman to complete a 4-year degree in civil engineering, a master's degree in civil engineering, and she graduated and taught engineering here at Iowa State. And she was also one of the first American women to earn a living by working as a civil engineer. As you can see, she was active in the suffrage movement, as well as designing a lot of important skyscrapers in New York. So we'll let you take that in here for a minute. We've got a few choices. Could be Elamina Wilson, Carrie Chapman Catt, Jane Armstrong Byrne, and Mildred Day. I'll give you just a few minutes here. And, you know, it's a little tricky because all 4 of these women are Iowa State alum, and they are all 4 famous. So you may have heard of every single one of these folks. Well, so far there's one that's outstanding. We'll see if that's the right one. We'll give you guys just a few more seconds here to make the vote. Don't shout it out if you know the answer. Looks like a couple more people. All right. So this is the vote. I'll share the answer with you in just a moment. You know, 52% Elamina Wilson. And then the rest were pretty close, 17, 17, and 13. Let's see who it could be. Miss Elamina Wilson. And that is a very nice drawing and photo of her. And we'll actually dive right into structures. Simon, you're up.
Okay, let's do this. Well, hi guys, I'm Simon Laflamme. Sure, most of you haven't seen me yet. I'm an associate professor in the department, and given that I pulled a short straw, I became the group coordinator. So just in charge of administrative tasks to help around. So anyway, here's a slide. I'm going to basically read what you guys see, except with a French-Canadian accent. So we have a total here of 14 faculty members in the structure group. Some of them do teaching, research, and administration. And actually, it's quite phenomenal that we have most of our full professor in structure. All of them that do administration. There's Shri, David, and the Dean is Easterling as well. So there's plenty of administrative help that we have. 45 grad students total. We offer 5 courses in advanced structural analysis and 8 courses in design. We also have 7 undergraduate courses. And okay, so first time I see this slide, I'm sorry about that. So I guess I should be a bit more prepared for this, but here's what we do about COVID-19. Well, we do a mix of hybrid teaching, face-to-face and online. I guess, yeah, that's that's what I have to say about that. David, save me.
Maybe
Okay.
just a quick comment about that. I think you all know that we've had to respond to COVID-19, and here at Iowa State, we very much value the face-to-face interaction as much as we can, and also experiential learning. And so we've strived to create as many courses as we possibly can that maintain direct contact with students. And so all of our lab courses continue to operate in a face-to-face mode. Whether that be a geotechnical lab or a pavement materials lab or environmental lab, all those labs continue to operate utilizing physical distancing. Smaller classes, we continue now to have face-to-face, but we also have had to respond to COVID-19 by having our larger classes are primarily virtual. But for example, last fall, the department now teaches statics for the entire college. We taught that asynchronously, which was primarily through videos that students could watch, and then we broke it down into recitations that students could come face-to-face. This semester, we're teaching it synchronously, so there's direct delivery that the students can watch, because we find out that they really like that engagement. When it comes to our structural classes, the lectures are primarily virtual, but then the recitations that we have are face-to-face, again, allowing that direct interaction between the faculty and the students.
Thank you, David. You transformed this like 5 seconds into like what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's what I do as an administrator.
I admire your skill set. So this is me. A picture was taken in 2011. So I still have most of my hair, but it's going away. I arrived shortly after I graduated in 2011. I do research in 3 main fields. So there's adaptive resilience. So essentially looking at new mechanical system that we can implement in structures and communities to improve resilience and mitigation capability against natural and man-made hazards. I like to work also on structural health monitoring. So inventing new sensors, new algorithms to try to detect and diagnose civil structures. And this new exciting topic that I came up with a few years ago called real-time learning for decision processes. That's something that I've developed along with the AFRL. And you can see the research project, the third one. We look at hypersonic systems and we challenge ourselves thinking about how fast can we learn. The perfect example is if you have an advanced piece of weaponry that goes through a piece of concrete, how fast can you detect that there's damage in your piece of weaponry and take a decision, like whether you take the missile and throw it somewhere else or detonate it or whatever. I'm a civil engineer. My heart is in civil engineering. So why do we care about that here? Well, for blast control. So go back to the idea of adaptive resilience. What if I can come up with a system that can prevent or mitigate blasts on building? Well, you need to be able to be quick on your feet. Like you need to be able to detect there's a blast and come up with a decision system that says inflate a balloon and absorb most of the blast. So this is what I do. I've been teaching quite a bit of structural analysis 1 and 2. And I also came up with this new course at the grad level. It's quite popular. It's called Structural Health Monitoring. And this is a class where students learn about sensors, how to apply them, how to get the data and link that to decision processes. That's me.
Okay, Alice.
Hey, hello everyone. It's great to have you all here and meet you virtually. My name is Alice Alipur. I'm an associate professor in the structures group, and I arrived at Iowa State exactly 6 years ago, a little bit more probably, and I have enjoyed the winter from day one arriving here. So my research is in application of a probabilistic method in handling risk and reliability of structures and infrastructure systems. I looked into developing performance-based engineering approaches for design and assessment of structures under wind events, earthquake events, collision effects in bridges. A big portion of my research is also assessing the resilience of infrastructure systems. I specifically work with Department of Transportation, different departments of transportation, into assessing and coming up with strategies to enhance resilience of bridges specifically, and also some recently looking into floods, roadways as well, and also coming up with recovery approaches that are fast for functionality gaining of the transportation system. I have a NSF carrier project that also applies kind of similar approaches into the grid lines and transmission network, high voltage voltage transmission networks. We're looking into the effects of wind events and the probability of failure of these transmission towers and its impact on the resilience of the grid network and also the communities that are served by these transmission lines. Most recently, we have also been working on developing these, in a sense, next generation of tall buildings that have these facades that are alive and can respond to the effects of winds and change the aerodynamics of the building in such a way that the vibration of the building is controlled and reduced under wind events. We have been able to launch the concept in such a way that we now have projects with NIST as well on the topic, and some interest from the industry to implement it. Since arriving at Iowa State, I've been mostly been involved with teaching CE 332 structural analysis, also structural steel design and seismic design. I'm also the faculty advisor for the ERI chapter. We have the president here. You will be hearing about it, but exciting is that this semester we have scheduled a series of, I want to say, professional speaker talks for our chapter, which has ignited some interest among our students, and we're happy about that. Glad to have you all here. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Alice. Owner?
Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. Privileged to be here. My name is Onur Avsi. I just joined the privileged to be joining Iowa State University in June of 2020 as a research assistant professor. Right after graduation from my PhD, I got the chance to be involved with signature projects in the US in structural engineering design offices in Las Vegas and New York City. Got the privilege to be working on a World Trade Center building, more than 10 US embassies all over the world. Then back in the academia, I've been focusing on structural health monitoring and structural damage detection. The project that I got when I was in another different country was about the monitoring of large-scale structures, the FIFA World Cup 2022 stadium structures, all of them at the same time. That is going to be done first time in a large tournament history. Not only the vibrations, but also the temperature levels, humidity levels, and security, the parameters will be monitored. Not only that, I'm also focusing on machine learning and deep learning applications in structural engineering and structural damage detection. With wired and wireless sensors, we have been successful to detect damage like 40, 50 times faster than the real-time requirement, which is just 1 second in the industry. I'm also focusing on novel technologies, innovative materials, especially metamaterials, which has a direct and indirect contribution to sustainable infrastructure. With that, I should also emphasize that I've been serving as a structural technical advisor for the capstone project in the department. And that's pretty much what I have. I appreciate your time and patience.
Thanks, Owner. Inho?
I'm so sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. He wasn't able to join us, but we do have him letting us introduce himself.
Hello, my name is In-Ho Cho, currently Associate Professor in Structural Group. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to introduce myself to our respected alumni community. So my research area is mainly about parallel multi-scale computational mechanics and also structural engineering. Recently, we are doing data and machine learning driven engineering science. So based on that, we are working on NSF supported project for incomplete data curing for better prediction of engineering data, which is very often in our domain. And also we are working on data-driven and machine learning-driven approaches for super heavy load or freeze and thaw behavioral pavement system. I'm teaching basic classes in structural analysis and RC design and FEM, and also new classes for data-driven engineering research. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to introduce to our community, and I'll be happy to have any feedback or comment or discussion topic from the alumni community. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, good. All right, our last one here before we kind of move to the next stage is Travis.
Everybody, my name is Travis Hosting. So I came here straight off the farm, rural Iowa, back in 1997. And since that fall day, I have never left. I got my bachelor's here, got my master's here, and then I was recruited right after my master's by Dr. Whiff, who I'm sure many of you know, to work with him and Brent Ferris at the Bridge Engineering Center. So I spent 15 years at the Bridge Center doing research on bridges. Primarily my focus was on timber bridges. Those of you know Terry, he got me hooked into that. Field testing bridges, helping design with modern timber bridges, and also instrumenting timber bridges. So that was that. And then somewhere in the middle there, another alumni that you'll know, Dr. Fuad Fanous, pulled some strings and coerced me into coming into the classroom with him and helping him teach structural analysis. That was around 2008, I believe. And little did I know that he would introduce me to something that I'm very passionate about, and that's being in the classroom, helping students learn, help them get the most out of their experience here at Iowa State as a civil engineer. And so a little over a year ago, the opportunity came up to teach full time, and I took that opportunity. And so I'm now teaching, I guess, the lecturer position, whatever they want to call me. So I teach primarily engineering mechanics, the statics course, which has now been shifted over to civil engineering. And I also teach CE 332 structural analysis from time to time when they'll let me, right, David? So that's my story. Other than that, I call myself one of the more atypical engineers. I'm just as happy on the farm with my cows or in the basketball court with my kids as I am behind a table designing a bridge or helping students do civil engineering. So I'm a kind of a wide range in my skill set, but appreciate you all joining us tonight. It's great to meet all you. Great to see some of you alumni. Enjoy the evening.
Thanks, Travis. One of the things I wanted to comment that Travis mentioned is for many of you that have been our older alumni, you remember that we used to have a Department of Engineering Mechanics. A number of years ago, the Department of Engineering Mechanics was closed and those courses were shifted over to aerospace engineering. So for people that are moderately old alumni, you or even relatively recent alumni, when you took engineering mechanics, whether that be statics or mechanics of solids or dynamics, those courses were primarily be offering by the Department of Aerospace Engineering. But along in there somewhere, they said, well, why are we teaching all these courses? And so as Travis mentioned here in 2018, the college developed a model that each department would take on one of the engineering mechanics departments as their primary responsibility. And so for our department, we are the department that teaches statics for the entire college. And so Travis, who you just met, and Hart Waboa, who you'll meet later on, are the heavy lifters for us in terms of teaching statics. We also get help from Caitlin Friesman and Matt Rouse in terms of teaching statics for the entire college. So it's been a great challenge for us and will continue to be moving forward. All right, Alicia, what's next?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rizwan Kareem. I'm the current president of ERI here at Iowa State University, and Dr. Alice Salipur is our faculty advisor who you heard from a few minutes ago. Next slide, please. So we do 3 major activities. The first one is seminar talks, talks from the alumni, as Dr. Adipur mentioned as well. And the second one is the seismic design competition, which is an yearly competition where a group of undergraduate students come together to design and test structures made up of balsa wood, and then they are tested on shake tables. And the group of students who build the best wood tower or best structure get to travel to the annual ERI seismic design competition. And this is an annual activity that we do here as a student chapter. Next slide, please. Then we do a few outreach activities every semester where the ERI student chapter goes out to different schools and communities to deliver lectures on the topic of earthquake engineering. And we also do some fun activities for younger students to get them more engaged and excited about structures and STEM education, where we let them build a small structure using Kennex or wooden pieces or marshmallows and spaghettis, and where they get to build the structures, and then we test them on shake table, which is usually a fascination for them. And we have like good number of audiences whenever we go to these activities. And I want to thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're all ready for trivia number 2. Which Iowa State alum is considered one of the most important bridge designers in U.S. history? As you can see, at Oregon Ag College, he started out as a one-man structural engineering department, and within 2 years was a full professor and head of the civil engineering department. He became head of the bridge division of the Oregon DOT in 1919. And he was personally responsible for the design of Highway 101, designed over 600 bridges. And I won't read it all to you, you can kind of see it there, but it is really interesting that he also earned a law degree in 1928 because he wanted to become familiar with the legal implications of the building system and maintaining the highway system. So let me pull up your options here. Could it be Anson Marston, Merlin Spangler, Roy Crum, or Conde McCullough? And you've probably heard all of these names before as well. They all have a history with our department and the university. Oh, it was a close race. I wish you guys could see it on my side. You see the lines, they're chasing each other to see who's voting for what. All right, we'll give you just a few more seconds here. It looks like almost everybody has voted.
Can we call a friend or have a 50-50 or something like that?
No, I don't think so.
Today we use
bonuses. I guess the good thing though, Simon, is that you're not in this for prizes, right?
Oh, that's true. I don't know.
Simon, we know that you are Googling this already.
How do you know?
Do I give you enough time to Google? So the majority did choose Conde McCullough. Do we have anybody on the line that wants to share the answer before I show it on the screen? And Conde McCullough it is. We've got a few more faculty member introductions now at this point. Unfortunately, the next one is Matt Rouse. And as you can see, he was not able to join us tonight, but he did leave a nice video for you all.
Hi, everyone. My name's Matt Rouse. I think I know most all of you who will be here, and I got to tell you, I really hate not being able to be here in person tonight. I was looking forward to it. My my son's last high school basketball game got rescheduled for tonight due to the cold, so I apologize for not being here. Most of you I've known you either through events like this or your involvement with the department. A lot of you I went to school with here at Iowa State, and there's an alarmingly large number of you who are former students of mine too. So it's good that you're all here, and I appreciate you coming. You know me, I've been here at Iowa State for a long time. I was a student here back in the 1990s. Got my BS from Iowa State, and I am happy to be here teaching. I think I've been teaching here for almost 15 years now. So time flies when you're having fun. But I certainly appreciate all of you coming here, and I wish I were in person with you. Have a good evening and have a nice time tonight. Bye.
Great. That was nice. Okay, Baruz, you're next.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Baruz Shafi. I'm one of now associate professors in the structural engineering group here in the Department of Civil Construction and Environmental Engineering at Iowa State University. You may have already noticed I had to use Alice's account. We really have one office setup at home. And the fact is that she is primarily using that office setup, and we take turns in both teaching and research activities, and also taking care of children at this time. And I know that this has been a challenging time for many of us, and I feel that sort of this pandemic has learned us how to manage both academic and personal sort of aspects of life. I don't want to get to the pandemic situation too much, but the fact is that we really enjoy what we do in the Department of Civil Construction and Environmental Engineering. And we feel that we have 2 children at home, but close to 100 kids in structural analysis, and close to 20 of them in 534 concrete design 2. So a total of 122 students and kids. Essentially, they keep us busy. A little bit of background of myself. I did my bachelor's and master's degree back in Iran, in University of Tehran. And then I came to the United States to pursue my PhD and then later my postdoc. And I joined the Department of Civil Construction and Environmental Engineering here at ISU in January of 2015. The weather was similar to what we have been experiencing these days. So not sort of a surprise for me now after 5-6 years. In terms of research, I'm mostly doing research on concrete materials, concrete structures, and anything related to concrete excites me. That can be related to strengths, durability, and even energy efficiency. And we are also looking at how concrete structures would respond to extreme loading events. And that would cover a wide range of loading events. When I was in California, earthquake was the main thing. And here in Iowa, I extended my research to extreme wind events, and also the study of collision to concrete structures, including barriers, piers, and other types of structural systems. One aspect, one of the ongoing research projects that I'm leading and I'm excited about, is the development of a new ultra high performance concrete. We call it non-proprietary because the formula, the mixed design, is widely available, and that can be utilized for bridges in Iowa and other parts of the country. I also work on the service life of the structures and how we can investigate strategies that can be used for extending the service life and performance of various structures. Teaching, as I mentioned, I'm teaching concrete design at the undergrad level and also at the grad level, and structural analysis one, helping whenever needed. So that's all I have for tonight. Any questions? I'm open to answer.
Thanks, Baruz. Right, next is Shri, or sorry, Jay. Jay, you're next. Sorry about that.
Oh, yes. I hope that I skip this. But,
No,
yeah,
you're
my name, hi, nice to see all of you. My name is Jay Shen. I'm just pretty much in steel in teaching as well as doing some research focusing on steel buildings. And recent years have been focused on the brace frames become after 1994 Northridge earthquake. Before that, I was working on moment frames. And nowadays, I try to come up with some low-cost tube-in-tube braces to fix some very non-ductile steel structures that are built quite a while ago. And I'm teaching also around the steel structures, steel 1, steel 2, as well as building designs. One of the things I do more is consult quite a lot, get involved with structure or consulting, facing some challenging problems. I brought them into my class. I worked before coming to ISU. I work in Chicago area, but here we are able to have more students and a larger, high quality student body. So we work with them, and my area basically steel building. That's all I have. Nice meeting all of you.
Thank you so much. Okay, now Shri.
Hi, everybody. Hi, David. Good to see you all. I recognize several known faces. I see Ben Willer. Hi, Ben. Jerry Maguire. Jeff Coleman. I met him at ACI a couple of times. So it's good to connect with you all. I have been in the department for more than 20 years now. I came here at the age of 15. I think most of you graduated even before I arrived. I'm not dating your age here, but you probably had classes with Wally Sanders. So when he retired, I basically took his position. So I was a dynamic replacement, if I may say that, David. So my degrees are from 3 different continents. As you can see, I have a bachelor's degree from Sri Lanka and did a master's in Auckland, New Zealand, and then a PhD at UC San Diego. So that's why I heavily engaged in seismic research. I did, my research was primarily driven by the Loma Prieta earthquake damage. And so that's where I picked up seismic and brought that to Iowa without realizing whether it's going to be a good sell here, but I think we have done very well. So the ERA chapter, student chapter, was established by one of my former students who worked on seismic related research. Besides seismic resistant design research, I also work with ultra high performance concrete. I started this back in 2004, 2005 timeframe. At that time, people thought I was crazy. Their proposal got rejected, but now UHPC has taken over in many forms. Currently, I have a couple of contracts, one with Iowa DOT and one with Caltrans in terms of utilizing this material in an innovative way for certain applications. I have also done cut into wind energy sector quite a bit. We have developed a new technology for building concrete towers, and we're looking for field applications now. Some of the recent research projects, so as I think Simon mentioned at the beginning, I spent about 75% of my time with the Dean's office. It's a privilege to work for Dean Easterling as well. But my research project program has gone down in size, but I still have a couple of projects going on. So one of the projects that I've recently been engaged is looking at accelerated bridge construction. You probably have heard if you have worked on structures, but ABC has been used primarily for superstructures. I've been looking at how one could utilize for substructures, and you can see on the right side there's a picture of a test that we did in an outdoor environment. So this is a challenge. We can actually do tests like this. So you see a column supported by a footing, but that footing is supported by 8 piles driven into the ground. So the whole thing could be put together within a day, and after 24 hours, you could start putting the superstructure or girders in place. And that's what we were working towards, and we successfully showed it's possible. And we will be doing some follow-up work as well. A new project that I have just undertaken is with Caltrans. If you've been to California, you've probably seen their box girder bridges, and they ran into a problem in terms of rehabilitating the bridge decks, in terms of removing and replacing it. So we actually have a contract to show them how they should be able to handle some of these rehabilitation plans that they intend to do in almost every structure as soon as our research work is completed. When I came here, I actually taught steel design, but in the recent years, I've taught prestressed concrete, structural dynamics. I think Alice mentioned seismic design, so that was something that I introduced as a course to support some of the research work that I've been doing related to seismic. The college, I do focus on, the IT. All of the IT operation falls under my responsibility, but I also do strategic initiatives that includes, I think one of the new areas that we are focusing is looking at mitigating hazard and improving community resilience exposed to natural disasters. We work across multiple colleges in these topic areas, and there's multiple proposal goes out. Some have been funded. So instead of looking at engineering problem as engineers have looked at, we looked at the problem from a social perspective and trying to figure out what engineering problem should be solved so that the impact to the communities would be broader, before a disaster strike as well as in the post-disaster scenario. So I think things are going well here at Iowa State, and it's great to connect with you all after several months, I think in some cases. Thank you.
Thanks, Sri. Okay, Hart.
Hi, everyone. I'm the last person who have to introduce themselves. So I've been told that I only have 5 seconds left, so I'll be quick. So my research area is responsive structures subjected to extreme events like earthquakes and blasts and wind and whatnot. My research project right now deals with shape memory alloy for seismic applications and UHPC. And I'm teaching statics, reinforced concrete design, and pre-stressed concrete structures. So that's very brief, I hope.
Okay, well, thanks, Hart. Hart, as I mentioned earlier, is part of our statics team. Before we exit out of the introducing faculty, our dean, Sam Easterling, was with us here for just a short amount of time, and then he had to go off to another meeting. But I would say that we count him among us. He received his PhD from Iowa State University, working under Max Porter, who's on the phone or on our call tonight, and became dean, I'd say it was about 1.5 years ago, where he had been at Virginia Tech prior to that as a department chair. So it's great to have him be part of our team. All right, Alicia, one more trivia. What do we got?
We promised you trivia. The third question here is, this Iowa farm boy became one of San Francisco's elite structural engineers. He was also the first person from his town, Manning, Iowa, to attend Iowa State College. He was the very first recipient of the Anson Marston Medal in 1941, which is really cool. So we're taking a lot of pride in that. He was offered a contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates, fun fact, but rejected the offer to pursue engineering. So just another fun fact about him. And then you can see some information about his firm there on the right. Got a few options for you. Could it be Thomas McDonald, Henry Bernier, Thomas Agg, or Jack Dodds? Probably a few names there you recognize.
I just want to comment that Alicia's not very nice with these trivia, because what would have been nice was to provide the correct answer, and then the other people would have been like, you know, Donald Duck, Ronald Reagan, you know, some other
Where's the
famous.
fun in that?
But she makes it hard for us. She actually gives legitimate names for all the questions.
So Alicia, did all of them graduate from Iowa State? This is the hardest for me.
All of the folks, all of these options, no, Thomas Agg did not graduate from Iowa State.
Okay. So down to 3 now.
Mhm. We were far enough into the voting that I answered you, Shri. And it actually looks like the majority of people have voted. So we'll see who's right. Let's see. It's pretty close. The majority of you did select Jack Dodds. However, that is not the answer. Henry Bernier is the answer. You can see him there with some of his work.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is Alicia is going to got an opportunity to break into small groups. One of these things with the virtual is it's harder to have discussions. And the structures group would like to hear your input on a couple of things. So your groups, there'll be a faculty member to help you kind of collect the thoughts that are heard. But we'd really like to know, what did you benefit from most during your time here? Were there specific classes that you think were particularly valuable, organizations, whatever it might be? And then also, are there types of things, research, service that the department could provide that would help you meet your challenges at work? So within your groups, if you could do that, we'll give you a few minutes to talk about that. And then what's really nice is Alicia just pulls you back in. So you don't have to do anything. She ships you out and then she pulls you back in. So Alicia, make it happen. You brought us all back. You didn't leave us.
I think everybody's back now.
We didn't want to come back.
Oh, no.
We were just getting it started.
Did I not say, Travis, that somebody would mention something like that? Well, if it helps, I am bringing you back to a trivia question.
There you go.
I'm going to check this one. So.
Okay. So the last trivia question here is, who is Town Engineering named after? I have to move all of you. You're blocking my text. The building was named Town Engineering in 1973, so 2 years after it was built, after a dean of the College of Engineering. And this person was dean from 1949 to 1970. Originally, it accommodated both civil and aerospace engineering until 1999, when aerospace and engineering mechanics moved to Howe Hall. Now, I know Shri is going to have a comment about the names in this one, but
I know the answer here, so
you can't pick out just by guessing town something, right? So you've got George A. Townsend, Michael B. Townley, Charles Townsend, and George R. Town.
And once again, I'm going to comment on how brutal Alicia is. My gosh.
Beta, you look like you're guessing.
I'm not an engineer, so I have to challenge my engineering folks.
Yeah, you're not giving us any pure freebies here.
We'll give
Beta,
you.
are you Googling the answer? I see you.
No,
yeah, right.
Let me just say that I have a picture of him in my office, so I see.
You better know who it is then.
Okay. Let's see what everybody said. Now, George R. Town was the overwhelming answer, and not a single one chose Michael Townley. I'm disappointed in my choice there.
Alicia, can you tell us who is the Townley guy?
George R. Town. And you can see that's a nice portrait of him there. And that's the plaque that you have probably all walked by on the building several times, and you recognize it immediately. But yes, I can tell you that George A. Townsend, he was a war correspondent and a novelist. Charles Townsend was a politician. And Michael V. Townley, this is the best one, and I'm disappointed that nobody picked him. He's a former agent of the secret police of Chile, and he is from Waterloo, Iowa.
Oh.
Fun facts.
There you go.
Was Georgetown a civil engineer? I thought he was different. He was in a different discipline, right?
Yes, he was not a civil engineer, but he did a lot for the college.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I have a long history on him if you'd like it.
So David, I'm disappointed that you don't refer to your traveling meetings as the R town instead of our town.
Oh.
I like it. I might start saying that, Craig.
Start doing that. All right, so we have our student group next.
We've got Concrete Canoe. Serena, are you still here?
Yes, I am, yes.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. I'm Serena Kvaku. I'm one of the captains for Concrete Canoe this year. And I'm happy to tell you that this year our theme is the conductive canoe. We were inspired by lightning and maybe a little bit by the movie Lightning McQueen or Cars, but, So if you go to the next slide. So this year, like most years, we built a canoe from scratch. So the first thing we do is we have plates and 2x4s and 2x6s, and we make our skeleton of the mold. And after that, we have our foam, which we put in between the plates. And then after that, we plaster it. And the reason we do this, and the reason we did it this year, even though we aren't going to be competing in competition because of COVID, is we wanted to make sure to give our members, the new members and the returning members, hands-on experience making the canoe and kind of seeing what we do. So for next year, maybe it'll go a little faster. And one of the new things we did this year, which we're kind of proud of, is we CNC'd our cones. So we're hoping that in future years, we can, instead of cutting out the foam by hand, we can just CNC it so we can streamline the process. That's all I have today.
So did you say that, so what is the plan for the competition? Are you giving presentations, or is there just no competition at all?
So we're going to be submitting a design notebook, our concrete mixture and what we did this year. So the process we took. And then I think we might do a presentation, but we're still unclear about that. They haven't really given us much information. We're assuming we're not going to have competition, but we still don't know yet. They're very late in giving us information.
All right, well, thanks for taking time tonight. Steel Bridge?
Hi, my name is Riley Blatchford. I'm the president of Steel Bridge, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Veda Wilkins. I'm the vice president of Steel Bridge, and I'm a junior.
So for those of you who used to know Steel Bridge, we were under ASCE, but we are no longer. So we created a brand new club at Iowa State American Institute of Steel Construction about a year ago as the national level of AISC took on the Steel Bridge competition. We will be competing from campus in about a month on March 20th. We have almost completed our bridge finally after 2 years because of COVID. You can see our most recent picture on the right there. That was taken last weekend when we were in the shop working. We just did our first load test on it on Tuesday, and it is meeting the deflection that we were expecting. So we're very happy about that. Isn't looking like it's going to fall apart on us after 2 years, so that's good. We're really thankful. Nucor donated a brand new welder to us last year, so that has helped us with our progress on the bridge. Yeah, so this year we are going to do some SteelBridge merchandise, open it up to alumni if you're interested. We're looking at pint glasses. You can use them however you want, sweatshirts and shirts. So if you want to email me if you're interested in any merchandise for SteelBridge, we'd be happy to send that to you.
And if you want to just email Alicia, then Alicia can get you in contact with that. So you're saying that you're actually going to competition and going to load the bridge, or you load the bridge yourself?
So we are competing here at Iowa State and videoing it and then sending it in. So we will be loading it ourselves here under some supervision of experts, but.
Good thing. We want to make sure that you're safe. I wanted to make sure that they didn't think that we were having the competition here. Each team is loading it remotely. Yep. And then submitting it to it. So again, another adaptation to COVID. I guess we could do the same thing with the concrete canoe. We could just have you race and time you, put you out on Lake Laverne and have you paddle around in Lake Laverne. Okay, well, thanks so much. Student groups are really important to what we do here. We've given you a few examples tonight. Know that student groups are alive and well in our department. We recently formed American Concrete Institute student chapter. We still have ASCE, AGC, just to name a few. And plus there's a lot of clubs that operate at the college level that are very, very active. All right, Alicia, we're gonna ship them out one more time. This one is just an opportunity for you to talk and meet other alumni, and we'll let you talk for a little bit, and then we'll bring you back if anybody has any final comments. But that kind of ends our formal program. We have one more slide, but essentially that ends our formal program. And just in case some of you have to leave, I just want to say how much I appreciate you joining us tonight. It's an exciting time to be at Iowa State, exciting time for our department. Certainly very challenging over the last year and a half, but I couldn't be prouder of our faculty, staff, and students. They really have risen to the occasion. So if you have any comments about this event or any questions for me, again, feel free to reach out to me or to Alicia, and we'll get back to you. So with that, we'll ship you out. So Alicia, you want to do your deed?
All right, we'll see you in a few. Welcome back.
Okay.
Never quite enough time, is it?
No, never enough time.
Well, I like to talk.
I was, I'm going to dominate here for a second. And we were just talking with Andrew Lack, who's was just sharing a story because we were talking about town engineering. And he mentioned, Andrew, tell the story about town engineering, because he said that it was a good thing that we're trying to look to ways to renovate town engineering because of this story.
Yeah, I was thinking back to, it was either 2004 or 2005 in our capstone class when we were all up in the big design room, and we knew there was a storm outside and it wasn't too crazy, but there must have been some very serious winds outside because we came out and there was at least a couple trees down between design and town. But inside town, you had no idea because you're in just a place with no windows, built like a tank. And so I'm excited to hear that there's a renovation in the works, and hopefully there's more windows in the works and plans.
You know, we repeated that process again because that derecho came through earlier this year, and I was on the third floor of town looking towards the Armory, and I really had no concern about being in town engineering, even in a severe with 100-mile-an-hour windstorm. Maybe Alice should tell me whether that's a safe building for wind, but I think it's pretty secure relative to just about any natural event. So
I will vote for more windows, though. I'd love a window.
Yeah.
Well, especially the basement of the structures lab, David.
That's exactly right. There you'd be very safe. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a bomb shelter down there.
Any other stories that people want to share with the group?
So another fun story about town engineering, going back to the lobby. I can't remember the year. It's been not that long ago, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. Used to be a ping pong table in the lobby. And Dr. Whiff, in all of his glory, decided to take on some of the students in a ping pong competition, and he got hauled away with a broken leg from that. Gets his leg in a cast, goes home, and a few days later, going down the stairs in his crutches, he falls and breaks his other leg. And so he ended up bringing a recliner into his office at Intrans so that he could sit with both his legs up and work on his computer with both his legs in casts. So
You
that's
guys, you're mean ping pong players to break two legs.
right.
And I can say that I don't think the ping pong table has been back since.
No, I think it left that day probably.
Any other good stories?
I think that was not the first bone that Terry had broken. As I recall, when he was in high school, he relayed a story that he broke his right arm, and he was a basketball player. I don't know if you knew that, but anyway, while he had his right arm in a cast, he learned to shoot free throws with his left hand. He was very good at it with his left hand. And he typically would, I'll just share this. I understand he won quite a few beers in hoop competition at bars, shooting with his left hand.
I'm going to have to ask him about that.
Oh, if I had a quarter for every time I heard him tell me that story, I'd be retired by now.
Okay, so the story's not too far off, Travis.
No, he's ambidextrous, self-proclaimed ambidextrous.
Yeah, but I think it came from a broken bone on his right hand, didn't he?
Yes, it did, something like that.
Okay. I hoped I wasn't sleeping through that.
I think that it's with this group, at least for me, the really good stories are the ones that we swore long ago we'd never repeat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Until somebody else does for us.
I was just relating, there's a lot of things that happen in the structures lab that nobody really wants to know about.
Amen.
Certainly not the professors wanted to know about.
So
I just saw a name pop.
Both Jeff and I both worked for Max Porter. So it's right, Jeff? Yep. So
yeah, you still live in that house that I built the chimney on, or hauled the chimney up to the roof or whatever?
Well, I still remember those days, Jeff, but no, we don't live in that house. We moved up. We got a better one now.
So I do have to tell one story. So one of my professors was Professor Sanders. That's Wallace Sanders, David's dad. And I went to graduate school, and he had the graduate students over one night that were working in the structured lab to have dinner at his house with he and his wife. And this 12-year-old kid comes walking through the living room, got a full head of red hair. I mean, flaming full head of red hair. And that was David when he was about 12 years old.
Yeah, those are a few years in the past.
I just started to scroll through everybody who's lined up. I think there's a guy on here that's about my year, John Malarkey, if I remember right. I think John graduated about the same time I did. Unless it's different John Malarkey.
John said he graduated in '61. So is that about
okay? That's the year I graduated.
Oh, that's great.
I saw John's name on here earlier. He had to leave though.
No, he's still here.
No,
he's here.
He's like me. I don't want to show my picture because I'm wearing my grubs and I need a haircut. Out here, the governor won't open anything up.
Well, they say that now, and maybe it's less, but for a while there, the sale of shirts and tops was outpacing those of bottoms because people were just buying new clothes for the top half and not worrying about the bottom half. So maybe we'll finally have to start buying new clothes for both bottom and top. Well, I'll let you guys all go, but I greatly appreciate the opportunity to get together with you tonight. And again, Alicia is coordinating a lot of the things for our 150th anniversary. So I hope that you stay connected with us and are able to come back onto campus in September of next year. We're really optimistic that we're going to be able to do that event. We're going to continue to have a couple of more of these virtual events. Seeing Jeff Coleman on here at noon on the 17th of March. We're going to have Jeff on a virtual meeting for us. Jeff is president of the American Concrete Institute, along with Ron Berg is the executive director. So we've got a couple of Iowa State alumni in prestigious positions at the American Concrete Institute. So we're excited to have them come back. So stay connected with us as we have different events, and everybody stay safe and go Cyclones. We'll talk to you later.
David, you said the 150th is this, right?
thank you, David.
2021?
Fall 2021.
Yeah, you said next year, so.
Oh, sorry about that. 2021.
So yeah, this late this year.
We all miss a year.
You all stay safe.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.